Look, a new light in the dash. What is up, guys? Welcome back to Backroad Apex. My name is Jordan, and today we're going out in the rain for a quick little dinner run in the project car, my MK4 Jetta GLI VR6. This is a 2003 model year, not the 2004, because I know people are going to lose their marbles and say, it's not a GLI, where's your front lip, where's the Recaros? So, anywho, this is my project car. I've been rebuilding for the last few months, and a couple things have actually changed since the last time you guys saw this car. We have a trunk. I replaced the trunk on this thing with a 2004 trunk, what I like to call the Mark 4.5 or Mark 4.5. This came off a TDI. You can see I've tried to erase the fact that it came off a TDI, and very mixed success on that. We had a bit of fun with this car last weekend because we did a thing that 16-year-old me would love and that 26-year-old me doesn't like all that much, but I'll let you guys be the judge on that one. So we're gonna go grab some dinner and drive this thing a little bit and give it a bit of a stretch, because I only drive this thing about once every week or two, and so yeah, I don't really drive this car as much as I would like to, and so we're gonna put a few miles on it today. All right, this is about to be very, very loud because 16-year-old me really liked what I just did. So if you haven't gathered by now, we've done a bit of exhaust work on this thing because we have cut the muffler off of this. So this is currently running one of those flex pipe deals from you can get at autos on like $15, because we were like, oh, we've got nothing better to do. The exhaust already doesn't exit all that great. Let's just have some fun with it. And we cut the muffler off of it. She's a little unhappy because I've got some seafoam running through it. I'm trying to help this engine stay alive for another 200,000 miles. Like I said in the last video, it does have some pretty bad chain stretch, so that's why you won't see me flogging this car around all that much today. And in fact, I'm not trying to draw any attention because where I live, there's a good bit of law enforcement presence because I live in a pretty small city. So we're gonna go take this thing for a quick chill drive because of the timing chains and all that stuff. You'll probably also notice the check engine light is now on, and that is for the evap system. I've already scanned it. It is doing Volkswagen things, but it is nothing too major. So let's get out of here and hit the road and go decide what I want to eat. Yeah, it is so much louder now, and honestly, on one hand, I like how it sounds. On the other, it is too freaking loud. Mark 6 GTI. My people are here. All right, guys. Just picked up my dinner. Let's head on back to the house. And I'm going to chat with you guys about German cars while we do it. It's so loud. So, because this car doesn't have functioning cup holders, since, you know, these don't work, I had to get a drink carrier. Probably not the best car to bring out for this, but I just really wanted to drive it today. I haven't driven it as much as I would like to, so was it a bad idea bringing out this car for this exact reason? Yes, but like I said, I just want to enjoy this car a little bit. I only drive it like maybe once or twice a week, if that, so it's kind of a treat to bring it out. Even if I can't see out of the back of it very well. Try to keep the revs down to be respectful of the people ordering their food in the drive-thru. Hey buddy, this car is broken down, if you haven't noticed. They've been sitting here since I got here, so this is kind of shooting me in the foot because I kind of need to get moving. All right, so now they're moving. Let's talk about German cars a little bit, because these cars get such a bad stigma about what the ownership experience is like. And I'm here to tell you that those experiences are wrong. The stories are not always accurate. Some German cars do have problems. I'm looking at Mark 5 and Mark 6s with their infamous time and chain failures. And I'm looking at cars like some of the Mercedes have valve train issues. Some of them have time and chain issues of their own. N54s are just a litany of problems sometimes. But that shouldn't deter you, because I'm going to tell you guys the cheat code to owning a German car and it lasting forever. And that is going into it with your mindset. It is all about mindset when you buy a German car. That's where you do your research. You know what you're going against. You know what car you're buying or what car you want to buy. And you do a look at the risks and all of their notorious problems and decide, is it worth it trying to go around those problems? Because if you have the patience and you have the mechanical knowledge and you have the research done, that makes buying a car, a German car, a lot more easier. Now, German cars aren't built much different than Japanese cars. The only difference is the mindset of what their owners will be like. A Volkswagen can run just as long as a Honda or Toyota if it's maintained correctly. I have seen Mark 7 GTIs, much like the one that I have, that are rolling 250,000 plus miles. That's more mileage than my Ford that I used to have. I used to own a Ford pickup truck years ago that this replaced, or not this car specifically, but my Mark 7 replaced. And that car has been nothing but good to me. This one, so far, has been relatively good to me. Of course, I've still only had it for 2 months, and it's a project car, so the jury is still out on the long-term experience of this car and what it'll be like to own for another few years. But so far, it's been just as good because I have played ball with the maintenance gremlins. I know the check engine lights and the brake pad light and the airbag light and all the lights on the dash and the cracked windshield. I know everything in here. It's got a lot of weight reduction that I never intended on having in a car. May make you think otherwise, but I've done a lot to save this car in 2 months. A lot more than people would probably expect, considering the car's condition when I bought it. But if you go into it with the correct mindset that owning one of these isn't going to be the same as buying a Camry or a Corolla or an Accord, and you just drive it so wheels fall off, change the oil whenever you feel like it because they can go 10,000 over for some reason and still live. If you go into it without that mindset that, hey, this car needs to be, hey, look, a new light in the dash. If you go into it with the mindset of, hey, this car requires a bit of love and a little bit of maintenance, and that I'm gonna have to put into the work financially, mentally, and physically to keep it running, you will be great. You'll be golden. It will treat you wonderfully. If you go into it expecting it to last forever on its own without that extra bit of love, then the car's gonna break, and it's gonna break bad, and it's gonna be expensive, and it's gonna be, you know, not fun to have. But that also involves doing your research on the specific car you're buying. I knew going into this car that I was buying something that could be either a diamond in the rough or something that is an absolute piece of junk. I'm always way too heavy on the throttle right there for some reason. And thankfully, I have not fool's gold, but I definitely have cubic zirconium, because this car is good on paper. It's relatively reliable. It's been pretty good to me the 2 months I've had it. The fact that I'm driving this car, I paid $1,400 for this car, and I've had it for 2 months, and I've put probably close about 80 to 100, maybe not 100 miles, but maybe like 50 to 80 miles on it, because I keep the mileage low. I only drive it around town. Like, this is the kind of driving this car typically sees, is what I'm doing right now. Pretty shoddy rev match effort on my part. But that's just it. If you go into buying a German car with the expectation that you're getting something that is going to last forever off rip, you're gonna be very disappointed. If you buy a car knowing that it's, hey, this thing's German, it could need a little bit of extra work, a little bit of extra labor, a little bit of extra love, a little bit of extra patience, buy one. Do your research and decide which car fits your desires the most. Do you want a fun, reliable daily driver? That's where you buy a GTI or something like this even. If you want something that's going to get insanely good gas mileage and be super reliable, you buy a diesel. You know, Volkswagen and Mercedes and BMW all have fantastic diesel options that American manufacturers wish took off, like they did in Germany. Because, I mean, I kid you not, a 1.9 TDI will run forever. And that's with or without maintenance. Those cars are the exception to the rule. But, you know, you've got all sorts of options and all sorts of things you just have to keep in mind with owning one of these. You know, like I said, if you're looking at one, if you want a Mark 7 GTI, I can tell you firsthand that they don't need a lot of stuff. The water pump is kind of the only major issue they have, unless you buy a manual, and then you have to worry about crank walk. If you bought an early manual, don't cheap out on your clutch kits and you'll be fine. But like, you know, cars like these, you have to worry about timing chains on VRs. You have to worry about coolant pipes failing. In my case, a brake booster line going bad. Like, all sorts of stuff. Stretch your legs a little bit. Like I said, I try to keep the revs kind of low just because of the timing chain issues in this thing, but I hate to say it, this muffler really does sound kind of good. I almost don't want to put a muffler back on this thing. I've always wanted a loud VR6, and now that I kind of have it, I'm kind of spoiling myself. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna cut back to the house, and I'll let you guys know my final thoughts. All right, back at the house, let's close this video out. I'm gonna shut this thing down because you know, that was fun stretching its legs, but oh goodness. All right, there we go. Anyway, at the end of the day, German cars are one of those things that I think if you have the right mindset and you really want one, go for it. Because if you go into it with the right mindset and you love the car and you treat it right, it will love you back. I love my German cars. I have said before, I probably won't go back to owning another domestic after my Ford. In fact, I definitely am not buying another Ford. But I love my German cars and I love my Japanese cars. Like my wife's 4Runner is amazing. But this car just brings something out of me. I get smiles every time I get behind this car. And this is the worst example for a video like this that I could have chosen. This is a car that is just old and stinky and problematic, and I just, you know, there were so many better cars I could have chose for this, but like my Mark 7, that's literally behind that door. But this car makes me smile and it makes me happy, and I just love driving it for you guys. I love having an excuse to go drive it. But yeah, I honestly think that if you really want to try a German car, just do your research. Find the model that you like the most, research its nuances, research what you're dealing with, know what you're going up against before you buy the car. That way you can make an informed decision about, is this the right one for me, or do I want to try something different? For example, I wanted a Mark 6 GTI. I went and test drove one, fell in love with them, and did a lot of research for the kind of stuff that I wanted out of it. I wanted something that could have the potential to go very fast. I wanted something that, you know, would be super reliable as a daily driver. And of course, I read about the timing chain failures that Gen 1 TSIs are notorious for. Thankfully, my friend Kaysen, who owns the A3 I drove a couple weeks ago in that video, also owns a Mark 6 GTI, which hopefully I'll get to have on the channel pretty soon. He caught it early. He bought that car, and I scanned it with a VCDS and found that it had timing chain stretch, and we took it, got it fixed, and he's been very fine ever since. The car's had very minimal problems. And I expect the same kind of issue, or not issue, but the same kind of experience with this car, considering it's also got pretty infamous timing chain failures. But all in all, that's really it. You know, I test drove it, fell in love with the Mark 6, and then, you know, researched all of its nuances, realized that it doesn't have the potential that I wanted. It doesn't have the reliability completely that I wanted. I wanted something that was going to be turnkey and just run as good as I could, as long as I took care of it, that I could get. And the Mark 7 fit that bill. So I waited about another year and then bought the Mark 7 that I have now, that's sitting on the other side of that door, that has been absolutely fantastic for almost 5 years. The only time it's ever left me stranded was the charge pipe blowing off, which was a quick 5-minute fix and we were back on the road. And that was an aftermarket part. I've had more failures with aftermarket parts than I have OEM. And I think that that's, you know, just that should give you some level of a testament to how good these cars can be if you take good care of them. But anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys next time, hopefully with another proper car review. I hope you guys enjoyed the video from a few years ago, me driving the GT VRS. It was super fun editing that again and reliving that day. But hopefully coming soon, I'll have something new for you guys to experience than just this car twice now. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys later, and thank you for watching Backroad Apex.